Anxious 5 secrets to everlasting peace of mind in the year 2025. Now, they never taught you guys this. They never taught you this in school, right? But I'm here to give you the 5 secrets and coming with one bonus tip right at the end. So let's start with the first one, okay? It's very simple. Work on your fundamentals. The number one tip on how to never be anxious in the year 2025, in fact, in your life, and find everlasting peace of mind is to work on your fundamentals. What do I mean by fundamentals? Let's say you are working at a firm and you're an accountant. Wouldn't you worry, let's say, a blackout happened last week and now your accounting software goes down because there's no electricity to your computer. And ever since that event, you're worrying of the same thing happening. But it's not that event that makes you anxious. It's not that event that makes you fearful. It's the fact that without electronic assistance, without the automated number crunching that's available in the software, you realize actually you don't understand accounting at all. And I've been into similar situations. I used to be a programmer and I do code. I've been doing coding for 4 or 5 years now. And for me, whenever I go without the sort of programming environment that I always carry with me, I feel bad. And I feel like things would just go wrong. But in fact, nothing really goes wrong. But here's the problem. I rely so much on the auto correction of the IDE of coding that I rely on. And whenever I don't have that, I went for a coding interview. I passed it. I passed it with flying colors. But guess what? I was anxious the whole time. Because I knew deep down inside, if I don't got auto correction, some of the basic syntax, I don't even know if they're right. But luckily enough, the interview was it wasn't that simple, but the questions that were asked of me were way below my mark. And I was able to still make it through. But here's the thing. You are anxious because you don't have your fundamentals down. And you're relying on tools, widgets, you're relying on small little things that patch up the humongous hole, the large hole that is your lack of proficiency in the most basic things in life. This doesn't have to do with anything about work, right? And like I said, every time I come live, I'm always coming in prepared, right? I'm always coming in prepared with all the news, with all the information, with tips, and with great content. But here's another thing. I don't have to remember the whole script, and I can tune in anytime with 100 viewers, with 200 viewers, with no viewers. It wouldn't matter. And that's because I'm confident with the way I communicate. I don't need an entire script to go live. I don't need a full hall of audience to deliver good content and not feel anxious, because I know and I can trust in my fundamentals when it comes to communicating great ideas with great zest and patience, and not to hope to make money, not to hope that, I have something to return from it. Thank you for the first heart. And see, I also pay attention despite the fact I have good fundamentals. And number one tip, regardless of what you do, it doesn't matter if you're a construction worker. It doesn't matter if you are a stay-at-home mom. It doesn't matter if you're a housewife. The reason why you worry so much, it's very simple. If you're taking care of a baby and you're anxious, that's because you haven't mastered the fundamentals of, let's say, breastfeeding. Let's say a baby's sleep schedule. You're constantly on edge because you don't know what to expect, but that's not the problem. A lot of times we attribute so much of our power, so much of personal power into external circumstances. But the fact is, it shouldn't matter what happens. You should have enough internal confidence to say, regardless of what happens, I have the ability to handle it perfectly. See, this is the difference between a person who knows what they're doing and a person who's just coasting by. Have you ever gotten one of those calls from your boss or coworker, and the first thing they open is, "Hey Jamie, hey Becky, we've got a problem." and what is the feeling inside you? And look, you know that better than I do, okay? And it's like, oh no, is your heart just went in for a free fall. But for me, it varies. If it's something that I'm not confident on, and someone calls me and be like, "Hey, we got a problem," what do I feel? I feel like all hell is about to break loose, right? But when it's something that I know I can excel in, I don't think, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." The first reaction is, "Oh hell yes, finally it's my turn to show them what's up." Right? So you are anxious about taking care of the baby because you're not confident about it in the first place. It's not about the baby behaving erratically. It's not about your coworker behaving erratically. It's not about things going wrong at your job. It's because you are not confident of doing the most basic of duties, right? There are two different reactions. I used to play competitively in some of the video games, right? Well, I'm not going to tell you which, but I'm pretty sure if you're interested, you can find out. And my reaction to video game, now I'm usually what they call the carry in the team, right? I'm quite the star of the team. I'm the best player in that team. Thank you, David Barenblit. Exactly right. Give me a problem and I'll take that and turn it into a positive situation. David, you are the first and you're amazing. You got the point immediately. And see, Dave Beiser, COD. Thank you, Mr. Ozzy. I used to be the carry on the team, right? When they call me to stand in for a play, I don't go in like, "Oh no, we've got a problem. Sounds like we are losing. That's why they need to call in the big guns," right? If you are not the big gun, you see, here's the irony. If you're not the big gun, you'll be like, "Damn it, we are lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can come back from this situation." But when I was the big gun, I was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Twitch TV, the whole world, all 100 of you, look at what I'm about to do." You see? Because I know I'm excellent. I want to take the spotlight. See, when your boss calls you and be like, "We got a problem," your heart should go, "Yes, it's time for me to show who's the real problem solver here." Where all these routine stuff, I don't get to stand out. Finally, something went haywire, and now I'm going to show everyone. I'm about the real business. I'm going to show y'all you really need people like me. See? That's different. And that's different not because of things going wrong outside, which is what a lot of us would like to say. We are anxious because we expect certain things to not go well. There's uncertainty in life. Well, people who are strong, they like uncertainty, right? People with good fundamentals, I like uncertainty in a match situation in the video game where I'm, one of the top players. I'm always one of the top players in the team. I like uncertainty because if it's routine, they don't need me, right? Because I got strong fundamentals in the game. I know whatever the opponent throws at me, I can handle it. I can easily dispose of their little tactics, of their little antics, because I know what I'm doing. See, you are anxious and you're in a state of constant fear and anxiety because you know you don't got the basics down. It's not the situation. The situation can be a double-edged sword, right? It depends on whether you can wield it in confidence. And when you can't, now you're afraid it's going to hurt you. So that's tip number one. If you want to never be anxious in the year 2025 and have everlasting peace of mind, the first thing you have to do is find out the thing that occupies your day and find out the fundamental skills, the most basic of skills. You could be playing basketball, right? You know why you're worried when you're on the court? Because you know you suck at dribbling. That's the truth. If you're a top dribbler, if you're a top shooter, if you're a sharp shooter, you shouldn't be worried. You know, on the same street, all the way going down to downtown, there is not one better dribbler than you. Right? They may have a better team composition, but when the ball is in your hands, you're not panicking. In fact, you're out there calling people to pass to you. Hey, pass the ball to me quickly. I'm in the open. Well, you're not in the open. You're actually guarded by 3 people at once. But see, you want to show off. You want the ball. You want the trouble. You want great responsibility. Because you're the best at dribbling. You're the best at shooting. You want the half-court lobs. You like the 3-point shots. Right? You're not afraid because you are good at your fundamentals. It does not matter what you do. Find that one thing in the day, right? Whatever that gives you the greatest anxiety. It could be work. It could be relationship. It could be health. It could be your hobby that you're very serious on, or your side hustle. Find something about that, okay? And find no more than 3 fundamental skill sets or techniques or whatever, finesse in that thing that is causing you the greatest amount of anxiety, and work on the fundamentals. It's not the situation. It's never the situation that gives you anxiety. It's the fact that you know you aren't up to the task, and you're afraid that sometimes the call of duty will be above your ability. So that is tip number 1. If you want to stop being anxious, work on your fundamentals. Don't complain about a situation. Work on your fundamentals. Tip number 2. Take note of constancies in your life. You see? Now let's go back to the idea of situations. When you are anxious, you feel like the world is uncertain. You feel like there's too much change. You feel like you don't know what's going to happen. But clearly, factually, that is false. Because you have lost yourself in this panic. And including the elections that we often talk about, at least in recent times, right? Take note of the constancies. What's the consistency in your day? Apart from election, apart from polls, which are, the things that could fluctuate. You're on it every hour. What about some constancies in your life? Did you wake? Did you breathe? Did you take a breath? See, a lot of the things are constancies. This is the thing about the human psychology and the human physiology. Once something becomes a constancy, it fades into the background of our consciousness. And whatever that is uncertain and whatever that is changing and highly fluid preoccupies our entire forefront consciousness. And all the time. So almost regardless of what constancies that were given to you, in 7 days, you accustomed to that. And that is now old information. The things that used to calm you are now a habit, a routine, and they're old information. It's on autopilot. You breathe on autopilot. You don't realize you're breathing. But isn't that a constancy that is more important than the election? Would you rather have the ability to breathe, or would you want to know more about polls? Now, that's a rather... I don't think I need to answer that, right? So, there's some constancies that we have taken granted because we're so used to it. And those are the things that calms us down, right? The fact that you wake up. Some people did not wake up. See, out of 1,000 people who paid attention to the polls, there's like 3 or 4 who didn't wake up. You were the lucky ones, you woke up. But you are not aware of the constancy of the fact that you have been here for your past, however old you are. It could be 60 years old, could be 20 years old. You discarded the constancy, and all the time you're focused on the little fluctuations, on the chaos, on the discord that is going on in the world. And then you say you're anxious. Well, of course you're anxious, because 99% of your life has great consistency. But what you put your focus on are the things that are very inconsistent. First of all, very inconsistent. And second of all, out of your control, right? David Barenblit, I had to fail frequently to learn how to master my career. Fortunately, failure taught me so much. I appreciate your polling interpretation. They give me hope. Thank you, David. See, I think he's referring to working on fundamentals. It's tough, right? Because to improve 1%, look, this speech, this part, this little segment will appeal to those of you who have achieved excellence in at least one field in your life. It is very easy to go from 0 to 50 on the bells and whistles, right? It's very easy for me to go from not being able to know how to use a software to being able to use it to do a lot of things, right? It wouldn't take me more than several days, okay? But to be 10% faster in number crunching, just in your head, mental calculations, to have that fundamental be increased. Let's not say 10%, right? Let's say 5%. To be 5% better on a fundamental is 10 times tougher than being 50% better on the bells and whistles. And it takes a lot of failure, a lot of dribbles, a lot of sets to go in to improve your fundamentals by 1%. And you have to fail frequently, like David says, to master your career or to master anything in your life. It could be health, it could be relationships. You have to work on the fundamentals. And it's very hard to notice the difference between 1% yesterday and the 1% you gained today. But if you keep doing this, in a year, in 2 years, you'll find out that nothing really has changed, right? All the techniques are still the same techniques. All the building blocks are still the same building blocks, but you're just faster and better, and you fail less. And this is something, again, as a person who used to be doing a lot of competitive gaming, I know this to be true. You just aim 1% better. You have 1% better movement. You have 1% faster reaction time. You have 1% better communication. Day by day adds up. And sooner than you know, you're top 10%, top 1%, top 10% of the top 1% of all players. So this is what you have to do. And again, on point number 2, if you don't want to be anxious, count on your constancies. There are certain things in your life, it has always been there. And it has never failed you. It has never failed to be there. Right? Like the fact that you are breathing now. There are people who had just stopped breathing in this particular moment they're hearing this message. What about hearing this message? Are you sure everyone can hear? Right? You have been blessed with a fully able body. Now, not all of us are so fortunate that we are healthy in all parts of our life. But at least you can hear this message. At least you can see me presenting this information, right? And you are anxious over things like the elections. You're anxious over things that, first of all, have no control in, and secondly, are not constancies. These things happen once every 4 years, and they're monumental. This election is historic. It will change American history, don't get me wrong. But if you want a peace of mind, what are some constancies that will exist before the election, during the election, and after the election. And I can bet you can find 10 times more things. There are constancies than variances. And once you're able to find that, I can guarantee you that will be one of your secrets to have everlasting peace of mind in the year 2025 and just cut your anxieties. Now, third tip, ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying this, react, share this video, chat with me because you'll get to learn a lot more. Tip number 3, appreciate, not acquire. See, this is the tough thing. Now, it's very easy to say, okay, don't acquire, just appreciate. But when profit is laid right in front of you, this becomes very hard. See, if I could recommend something to Madam Kamala Harris, I would say to her, look, you don't have to acquire men. Don't go to a speech, don't go to an event and try to acquire black men and try to acquire Latino men, try to acquire the Arab Americans. Don't acquire, just appreciate. What do I mean by that? Give a 1 or 2 liner. Look, I know the majority of men are not voting for me. I know that. And I'm not here to convince you to do the opposite. I just appreciate the fact that whilst everything is going on, hardworking men like you are out there under the sun, doing your thing, building civilization. I wish we can have some more time to have a great conversation. But regardless of how you vote, I appreciate everything every man has done for our society and more. And that's it. Don't acquire. Just appreciate. See, this is the paradox of life. When you don't try to acquire, things just come to you. When you learn to appreciate people, things, ideas, and situations, you attract more of those that serve you. Like I say, if she really wants to quote-unquote acquire men, she doesn't have to acquire them. Just appreciate them. It's a very simple thing. Colin Grossman, and I checked the YouTube video and it looks like I think she will still win on November 5th. Again, who is the person who appreciates? Appreciate, not acquire. And this is how you can take anxiety out of your life in 2025 and have an everlasting peace of mind. If you're focused on ownership, if you're focused on competition and dominance and security, right? The sense of trying to secure something, then you're always insecure. Because the person who is secure will never try to secure something, right? And I hope that makes sense to you. Appreciate the fact that we have people over here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, only 3 person in the chat right now. And I used to get hundreds. At the top of my game, while I was covering the elections, right? I had hundreds of live viewers all at the same time. And I have dozens of the chat just goes and goes and goes. And the super chat just comes in and in and in. It's just, wow, how amazing it is. But here's the thing. I'm not here to acquire new viewers. I'm here to appreciate any of you who shows up here. I'm not focused on acquiring people. Therefore, I'm not anxious about doing live streams every single day. Imagine everything in my mind right now is how I can please people. How I can do a thumbnail. How can I do a title? How can I mix and mingle all these things into my content so I can get more views, so I can get more subscribers, so I can get all this and that. You think my day will not be anxious? See? Dave Beiser, that's because it's a dominant issue right now in this country. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Mr. Ozzy. And no, it's not like I've never had this struggle internally, right? I was thinking, it would be nice if I could rack up some more views, right? It would be nice if I could get more subscribers. Whenever someone hits me with the super chat, I'm like, damn, I feel so appreciated. But here's the thing. All of those things are acquisition based, right? It's not like those things are about trying to educate. And first and foremost, I appreciate the fact that there's 3 of you in the chat. And I would still appreciate if there's no one in the chat. Because I'm not here to acquire attention. I'm not here to acquire activity. I'm not here to acquire clout. I'm just here to appreciate and share my personal wisdom with the world. And whoever that happens to come my way and appreciate in reciprocity the content I deliver, that's just amazing, right? So if you really want to get that raise, you'll be very anxious for the next 6 months. You'll be very anxious for the next quarter or the entirety of the next fiscal year. But if you're not there to acquire, but just appreciate the work you do, appreciate the ingenuity and the quality and the effort of the work you do, the funny thing is, not only are you not anxious, but you are increasing your odds of the promotion by more than you can have ever done or achieved by trying to acquire. Do not chase. Appreciate. And that is the third tip. Now, that's one of the many tips to have everlasting peace of mind and never be anxious. Appreciate, not acquire. Colin Grossman, you check some YouTube shorts, some shorts on YouTube. Well, again, look. Now, let's go. This is a perfect segue to my 4th tip. And that is, you gotta declutter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to declutter your space. By space, I mean your physical environment. By space, I mean your relationships. By space, I mean, like Colin Grossman has said, your media feed. We have to declutter some of this stuff, right? Which is why I'm doing this content transition. And I'm doing this because I want to declutter myself from that ugly man's face and his voice and the insanity that ensues by interacting with that type of content, because their supporters are even more unhinged than he himself. And it's an effort by me to declutter my space. And of course, by throwing things out, you're going to lose something along with it. But if you truly want to not be anxious and have everlasting peace of mind in 2025, you think it's over by 2025? It's not. Like I said in previous videos, right? In previous live streams, you think election is over on November 5th? First of all, they're going to drag this out. They're going to have lawsuits. They're going to have claims of fake news. They're going to have claims about the election being rigged. They're going to have claims about a deep state, conspiracy theories. It's going to keep you hooked, right? You think it's going to end on November 5th? I can tell you with full confidence that election that should have ended in November of 2024 would not be over by February of 2025. And all the insanity that goes with it. And this is the problem. If you cannot declutter your space right now, at the last stretch of the election, with all these garbage news coming in, perfect blind guy, good morning. If you can't do that, you can't declutter your space right now, then you're going to be dragged. You're going to be blocked. You're going to be clogged. And you will have very little room for fresh air. You're not going to be able to breathe well in the year 2025. And that's the time you get anxious. See, I transitioned content. See, I could milk I could very easily milk this last stretch of election by posting 3 videos a day about the same polls, about the same news, and I'll get hundreds of thousands of views. And I could easily cross 10K subs. But I don't want that. Because I don't want to clutter up my space. I don't want to clutter up my space. And that is what matters to me, right? I could rake in all these views, all these stuff. Respect to you, John Scott. Thank you. And this is what we have to do. Listen to this. The things I say are the things I've always been doing, or at least I have been trying to do. I'm not out here giving anyone the type of advice that the rules for thee, not for me. And I try these. I'm in the midst of trying them. I lead by example. It's not just empty talk. Everyone can see, especially the long-time followers. Look at the live view count right now. Look at the live. There are 10 there are 10 viewers. There are less viewers now than the first ever live stream I ever did, with no layout, covering just the polls, right? And the polls have poor crosstabs. The polls have top lines that didn't make no sense. And back then, I have 0 subscribers, like literally 0 subscribers. And I get way more than 10 views, 10 concurrent viewers. Now I have 4,000 subscribers and videos that broke 50K, 60K. I could barely cross 10 live views. But guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That is the necessity of transformation that you have to do. You have to declutter your space. You have to declutter your space if you don't want anxiety. See, if I got 4,000 viewers on me every day, hounding at me to take a look at the polls, take a look at the news. Oh, did you know this happened? Did you know that endorsement happened? Oh, did you know he went there? Did you know she did that? My entire day would be filled with anxiety. And is that what you want? Is that what you want? If you want positivity, if you want a peace of mind, if you want your life to be open to possibilities and opportunities and a vision for hope, you gotta declutter your space. And it's hard. You will stand to lose a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Thank you, John Scott. Look at the live view count right now. Look at it. I remember at one point it's 260, 270. And I got 3 super chats coming in within 5 minutes. And just keeps going and going and going. But guess what? I got to declutter those information. And like I said, after the election, after the counting and all that has finished, I will not cover anything relating to Donald Trump. Not even the fact that he's going to jail. Not even the fact that Melania Trump said something. Or Barron Trump did something. Or his trials went south. Or his court cases had some progress. This prosecutor did that. That lawyer said that. I'm not going to do that. Because I don't want my space to be cluttered by the orange felon, Donald Trump. And that's my choice. I know I'll be losing a lot of views. See, this is the type of focus you need to have everlasting peace of mind in 2025. There are things that give you a lot of profit, of attention, of clout, of social recognition, of the sense of status and growth. Do you want that? Or do you want peace of mind? Internal peace, tranquility, serenity inside. Which one do you want? Because sometimes to get ahead, you have to sell your soul to the devil. And I'm not doing that. I will never do that. And like I said, nothing matters more to me than journalistic integrity. And if one can't even be honest and tough on oneself, who is there to have the belief in you that you'll be tough and honest on anything else? Oh, can I give myself a round of applause? What does it mean to have integrity if you're afraid of decluttering the space that you know would take away some things that you have, but you know in the long run, it's good for you? What does integrity mean if that is not happening? See? And that being the fourth tip, thank you, perfect blind guy. And funnily enough, now we have 17 viewers. Tip number 5. Energy is matter. Energy is matter. See, people say we need to focus on the matter. We need to focus on the issue at hand. Thank you, John Scott. You're the first super chat in this stream. Thank you so much, John Scott. Love you, brother. Energy is matter. See, sometimes you say, this doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. This is of no matter. But here's the thing. Energy is matter. And I'm not talking about the fact that E is equals to mc squared, which is Einstein's most famous equation. It's energy mass equivalence, right? Now, of course, in the grand scales of the cosmos, this is a law of the universe we live in. But I'm more talking about the fact that in our life, when we say whether something matters or not, it's not about the consequence, the materialistic consequence it brings to you, but the energy as you meditate on this matter. Detail, do you love dogs and cats? I absolutely adore dogs, especially dogs. Because dogs, look, I love, again, okay, you are so on point right now, perfect blind guy. Somehow what you said has everything to do with this. Dogs and cats are not just, what we call pets, right? The energy they bring to our life. You see, I've had some conversations with certain people that I feel, wow, how can they say things like that? But they do. This is what they believe, They think there's nothing wrong with the abuse of pets, right? They think, well, pets, it's about, they are not humans. They don't suffer like us humans do. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But according to science, maybe they don't endure the same type of suffering as we do. So, abuse of pets, it's not that big of a deal. But to me, that's not the thing, because you could say this clump of matter is different from this biomass sitting right here, right? And I agree, we're different in matter. But what about the energy of your action when you're in a state of abuse? See, does that not matter? Because if that matters, you're saying energy matters, and energy is matter. When we talk about dogs and cats, it's not that they are another human being, but that they provide companionship, encouragement, a sense of belonging and togetherness. And it's the energy that matters more beyond the physical, beyond the material, right? If you want to be not anxious in 2025, you better start paying attention to energy and not just the matter. Because you pay attention to the matter, a lot of times you become nihilistic and you're on low energy mood. Your mood is on the floor. You can't lift yourself up. John Scott, Amos got souls just like us. Just look, listen to what John Scott is saying. This is the type of friend you want to have. You hear the type of energy that Mr. Scott here, John here is bringing to us? Does that not matter? If you want to not have anxiety, if you want a peace of mind in 2025, this is the type of energy you want around you. This is the type of friend. This is the circle. Like I said, there's 15 of us right here. Only 15. Not even enough to fill half a classroom. But we don't need 2,000 people in the chat right now talking all types of things when their energy does not match ours. And that is such a key. It's such a key, and I really want us, perfect blind guy, cats have 90% the same DNA as humans. Did you know that bananas have what, almost 60% the DNA as us? A lot of it is energy. Listen, John Scott never knew that. You can Google how banana has what, 50% or 40%, the same DNA as us humans. A lot of it is energy. There's a lot of energy going on. And when you only pay attention to static material, you're going to be anxious. They call me a perfect blind guy for a reason. We always need you here. Listen, we need you here, perfect blind guy. Thank you for always tuning in. How to never be anxious. 5 secrets to be at the state of everlasting peace of mind in 2025. This is an empowerment masterclass, and it's live with 10 of you, 20 of you, whatever the case may be. Bonus tip. Number 6. Pay attention to symbols. Pay attention to symbols. Because these are the subtle, subconscious priming of how you view things. See, do I have permission to talk about the issue of abortion and how we stand today on this issue, and how that symbolizes, how that's a symbolism for the greater insanity that goes out around the world? Right? How women's autonomy is not just about materialistic autonomy, that it's a symbol for where civilization is heading to. Do I have that permission? Because I'm willing to give that to myself. See? What does it mean at all to have rights in this world if we can't protect the birthing right of the people that birthed us? What does it mean to have rights? See, a woman's autonomy and sovereignty over her womb symbolizes the most fundamental of rights. It symbolizes the place where all human rights of every man came from. If we are so impulsive to say that we don't need rights over there because it's over for me, look, I came out. It's not like I'll ever get back there for another round. I got what I want. So these other things, I just don't care. And see, this is a problem. People are materialistic. They don't pay attention to symbolisms. You are here. You got what you want, and now you try to burn the bridge as you crossed it? How is that going to serve the world? See, listen to this. If people appreciated where they came from, which is the wombs of women, do you think Russia and Ukraine would have happened? Do you think the animalistic, savages assault on October 7th towards Israel by Hamas would have happened? Do you think the counterattack, the senseless massacre that Israel reacted with would have happened if we all care about the feminine symbol? And I can tell right now, the reason why all of these are happening over the world is simply because we don't pay attention to the symbols of civilization. When we attacked the femininity that everything is birthed from, we're attacking our own souls. We're attacking ourselves. And a lot of men and a lot of women too out here, they think they got what they needed from their mother, and they're born, they got fingers, they got feet, they got eyes, they got hair, everything they need in life. They already got it. So I don't care. Oh, the economy? You mean that someone's gonna cut 20 cents off of bacon and compare that with abortion rights? Well, it seems pretty obvious, right? I mean, bacon, abortion rights, obvious I'll choose bacon. And that's what's happening in society. We have lost the respect to symbols. We have lost the focus on symbols. What women represent, it's not just people who can give birth to babies. It is where morality, it is where rights stem from. It's our root. When you say you want to reach your hand back in and tear off our roots, that's plugging your own life support. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, am I right or am I right? When we can't even protect the right of the people that birthed our rights, who are we to say we can protect the peace and security of the world for everyone? It makes no sense. And a lot of people, they tell me I'm a single issue voter. Detail is always right. Thank you, perfect blank guy. People tell me I'm a single issue voter. And I tell them, what singular issue matters more to you than to be able to work hard out here and to give your life out here working your great jobs and fighting a good fight when you can't go home and face your mother and your daughter? What do you mean by single issue? What issue outside there concerns you so much that after putting in all the great work and fighting the good fight, putting your life on the line for some of you, but you can't go home and face your daughter? What other issue do you want to talk about? What other issues that matters more than this? Just 2 days ago, 3 days ago, someone tuned in and said, my daughters today are born with less rights than I was born. I'm giving birth to a creature right now that has less rights than me. John Scott, honestly, MAGA want to go backwards to right. We already achieved it. Sad. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have to respect. We must respect where we came from. Because where we came from symbolize where our future is. But the problem with MAGA is not that they're going backwards in the times of wanting to see where we came from. Because I'm the type of person who's able to trace back to where I came from. I came from my mother. Okay, people tell me I came from America, I came from China, I came from Russia, I came from India, I came from France, I came from Poland, I came from Norway. That's all made up. You didn't come from Norway. You were ascribed Norwegian citizenship. Where did you come from? See, MAGAs want to take us backwards. Except they aren't. They aren't taking us backward. They're just taking us into depravity. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. I'm I'm on fire right now. Because if they're really trying to take us back to where we came from, they would see immediately we all came from mama. We didn't come from the United States. What does that even mean? We were just ascribed citizenship at the point of birth by a government. We didn't came from the United States. If we came from the United States, then where did the United States come from? It used to not exist and it existed. Where did that come from? Oh, people say, well, it came from the Founding Fathers. Well, then where did the Founding Fathers came from? See, no matter how great of a man you are or how bad of a person you are, we all came from the same source. And if the MAGAs really have a genuine interest in taking us back, I don't mind. I don't mind going back to our roots. But here's the thing. They're not taking us back. They're taking us down. into the ground. Depravity, denigration, degradation, degeneracy, defilement. They're out here trying to defile women. And that's what they're trying to do. They're not taking us nowhere but down. And I'm not going along with that. I'm okay with going backwards and seeing where we came from. I'm okay with looking into the future. I'm okay with just living in the present. But I'm not okay with people out here telling me that they feel that they think there's any greater issue right now today than the issue that the people who birthed us and given us our natural right has no natural right of their own birth. And that is unacceptable. There's no single issue greater than this issue. And the funny thing is, a lot of them, they claim to be Christian and morals and principles go first. Where are your principles? Where are your principles? Do you have any principles left now that you go against the rights of your own mother? That your daughter is now born with less rights than you? See, this is why we must pay attention to symbols. What does woman represent? Is a woman just another person, another useful person you can use in this society to get what you want to get? Is that what you want? Is that what you want to symbolize? People are just tools. See, what's wrong with society now is that objects are loved, but people are used. That was fantastic. This is the objectification of not just women, but all men. Men ourselves are objectifying ourselves. Because if we came from objects, what does it say about us? If the people who gave birth to us has no rights, where do our rights come from? And this is a scary thing. They don't pay attention to symbols. They only pay attention to P&L. Profit and loss. Oh, does this benefit me? Oh, this 50 cents off the cheeseburger versus abortion rights. Well, obviously, I want cheaper cheeseburgers. I want lower gas prices. Ladies and gentlemen, how to never be anxious. 5 secrets to everlasting peace of mind in year 2025. Empower Masterclass live right now. Let's run through everything we covered. The first thing, work on your fundamentals. If you miss on any of these sections, watch the playback. It's got quite the content. It's got quite the meat in it. First thing, work on your fundamentals. What do I mean by that? If you're a baller, if you play basketball, work on your dribbles. Work on your shots. Because if you don't do that, whenever the ball goes to your hand, you'll be anxious. It don't matter who you play against. Whenever the ball's in your hand and you know you don't got the fundamentals down, in your heart, you're feeling all jittery. Work on your fundamentals. Number 2, take note of constancies. See, here's the thing. A lot of people, they're asking me to do posts, to do news, to do a lot of things. Look, I do them. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But here's the thing. Where is the person out here? Find one. Find another person who's like Detail Therapy Podcast, who is here to remind you of the constancies in your life. The fact that you woke up. The fact that you breathe. The fact that we're still here as a community supporting each other. Are these not constancies? See, everyone wants to cover all these shiny, glittering things that goes here and goes. It's very exciting. It's a good chase, right? It's a little bit of a chase, a catch me if you can type thing, right? You want to catch up with the news. You don't want to catch up. You want to compare yourself. You want to play catch up, right? It's very exciting. It's very new. It's got the thrill to it. But guess what? If you want to be not anxious, you better take note of your constancies in life. instead of being led by the nose and have your attention be waned and swayed anywhere someone wants to lead you there. I could very easily do a coverage of a poll. I'll get tens of thousands of views within a day because that's hot. But I'm not doing it. I'm here to remind you there are things in your life that you've always had and will continue to have for a very long time that you have not had the focus or the gratitude towards. See, my message is it's very consistent. Focus and gratitude. Focus and gratitude. You got those two things down? You have a life of freedom, free from anxiety, free from worry, and free from fear. Point number 3. Tip number 3. The third secret. Appreciate, not acquire. Like I said, if you want to acquire something, very simple. Appreciate the thing you do. If you want to acquire a promotion at work, appreciate the work you do. Appreciate every line you type on your document. Pay attention, give great attention to the details, focus on it. Appreciate the process, not acquire the outcome. Because if you want to acquire, now you're thinking, what happens if I don't? And funnily enough, when you appreciate the process, you'll do so much better that in the end, you acquire that and much more. And if you want to not be anxious and have a peace of mind, you better focus on appreciation and not acquisition. Number 4, secret number 4, declutter your space. If you got so much coming into your feed, if you got all these things coming into your feed, that is the news you don't want, that is the type of energy that distracts you and keeps you down and not focused on your goals, then it's time to declutter. I have an entire backlog. Not say backlog, but I have dozens of videos and live streams about the election, and particularly about Donald Trump. But again, it's time for me to declutter. Because I'm not about to put more of him into my life just so I can get more views. Because it will be pointless. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, at that point, honesty just becomes a part-time job. And when it's a job, it can be paid off. It can be bought off. And I'm not interested. There are some relationships in your life that you have to distance yourself from. There's some items in your house that has been collecting dust for the past 5 years. You've never used it, and you're thinking, okay, one day I'm going to use it. And that takes up mental space, that takes up physical space in your house. Get rid of those things because you don't need them. If you want to rid yourself and never be anxious and have a peace of mind, it's time to declutter your space. Relationship-wise, financially, there's some subscriptions you don't need. Declutter that. Declutter those things. There are certain services you may not need. There are certain people that may not be good for your growth. There are objects, items in your house that's just there to block your way. Get rid of them. There's some thoughts in your mind. There's so many things in media right now. Curate your own feed. Declutter your feed. All the people you're subscribed to, who are out here posting good content, the uplifting content, the content of truth and wisdom, keep them. The rest, you can say goodbye. Tip number 5, secret number 5, energy is matter. If you're materialistic, it's very easy to be nihilistic. It's very easy to be anxious. Focus on attention. Now, focus on the energy that the thing brings to you and not just the thing itself. Right? Does this event, yes, it gives me the material I want, but does it come with good energy? And if it doesn't, I urge you to pay attention to energy and not matter. And lastly, remember symbols. David David Barron, it's very difficult to believe we share the same DNA as Trump or his voters. Well, unfortunately, this is why I say, see, things are coming together. If you only pay attention to matter, it will seem like we're all the same. But the thing is, we don't got the same energy. Our energy is different. Our biological makeup is very similar, but our energy is different. And if you mistake that matter is all that matters, then you're going to be down for a very bad ride. Energy is matter, so you better pay attention to it. And lastly, the bonus tip is to pay attention to symbols. Pay attention to symbolic things that represent more than the item itself. For example, when we look at things like abortion rights, when we look at things like autonomy and sovereignty of women's bodies, they are not just limited to women as people. They are the symbols of our most basic, our most rudimentary, fundamental values and principles of what human rights mean. And that action to repeal Roe is not an attack on that one or two cases where women have to get miscarriage care. No, it's an attack on what symbolizes freedom and democracy and love and true autonomy and law and order. It's an attack on all those things that Western civilization stands for. So pay attention to symbols. If you only pay attention to specific events here and there, you'll be brought everywhere. You'll be, again, led by the nose. You'll be anxious. Pay attention to the symbol. Follow the symbol. Follow the energy. Have great fundamentals. Take note of consistencies. Take note of constancies. Appreciate, not acquire. And declutter your space. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 6, with a little bonus at the end, secrets to everlasting peace of mind in the year 2025. This empowerment masterclass that's going on live for an hour now, fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, today will be a great day for all of you, and for whoever that tunes in, it's going to be a great day. Focus and have gratitude. With that, guys, thank you all for watching, and may God bless America.